The Byzantine Empire called itself Roman, ruled from a new Rome, and enforced Roman law. Yet its people spoke Greek, worshipped in Greek, and revived the myths of ancient Athens. How did an empire clinging to Rome's legacy become the unlikely guardian of Hellenic culture? Was this a peaceful evolution, or a silent conquest of Greek identity? From emperors masquerading as Heracles to monks battling pagan philosophy, we unravel how Byzantium turned Greek into the language of God, empire, and a 1,000-year-long culture war. Join us as we decode the empire that refused to call itself Greek, yet became Greece's most enduring heir. Usually, Byzantium is supposed to have evolved into the use of Greek language and culture in an administrative context between the 6th and 8th centuries CE. This view is also accompanied by a change in perspective. Byzantium became Greek in identity following this year, but the course this has followed is more convoluted, and the issue is more complicated as well, of identity. To grasp the development of the Hellenization of Byzantium, we first have to examine Greco-Roman connections in past times to find the historical roots of this process. By 330 CE, the capital of the Roman Empire was relocated to Constantinople. Greece and Rome had been in a contradictory relationship for ages. Rome had seized Greece almost 400 years ago in 146 BCE, and part of its nobility experienced anti-Greek feelings because of their expected vulnerability, but equal proportions of others respected Greece. Indeed, when Emperor Constantine shifted the empire's capital to Byzantium, the eventual city site of Constantinople, he also ordered a relief of the Gigantomachy, the Olympian struggle, and Greek mythological giants to show about the city. Moreover, all through the peak of the classical Roman Empire, Greek and Latin were regarded as languages of education and prestige. Many Roman officials spoke both languages rather fluently. The type of Greek civilization that the Romans favored was this preceded the Eastern invasions of Alexander the Great, and followed what they sensed Greek civilization has been damaged by what they considered the hedonism of Eastern civilizations, such as Persian Empire. Many Romans so considered themselves as better than the present style of Greek civilization. Roman Empire was built on Latin, the language of the state, and so the elites. But whereas Latin prevailed at the highest levels of administration, and in the Roman Empire, multilingualism was the standard, Greek remained among the most important languages spoken in Roman civilization, especially as a lingua franca, that is, common tongue, in the eastern provinces including Syria, Anatolia, Egypt. Late antiquity's western portion of the Roman Empire fell, while the center of Roman culture and economy progressively moved to the Greek-speaking east, and the Greek language grew ever more well-known internationally. This time also marked the emergence of Christianity, a faith which early on it had a conflicting connection with classical Greek society. Many ancient churches, like Gregory of Nazianzus, fathers in their theology, applied Greek philosophy and logic, yet were also cautious of various temptations, such as lapsing from Christianity, that can develop should one become overly absorbed with Greek culture. The first several centuries of the Eastern Roman Empire thus rather contradictory. Latin stayed the language of public and elite government. On the one hand, Greek was, however, fast surpassing it in reputation. Furthermore, influenced by Christianity, things that would otherwise be thought to be classically Greek were connected adversely with paganism. Although classical Greek literature was a great source of philosophical ideas and enrichment, for many early Christians turned to create the foundation of their religion. In spite of these discrepancies, classical Greek language and culture kept becoming more and more important until the time of the Emperor Justinian. The Eastern Roman Empire had switched from Latin to Greek. This procedure would merely pick speed once late antiquity ends. Officially, it occurred during the 6th century reign of Emperor Justinian, CE, starting the Hellenization of the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire. Justinian also was not a Hellenizer. His legal codex was composed primarily in Latin, but his post-534 CE legislation was written in both Latin and Greek, mirroring the steady language change that has been going on since the empire's capital was relocated from Rome to Constantinople. As Greek became the main language used in Eastern Roman classical Greek civilization, survived within it also, following Justinian's rule. Many of them involved Justinian's successors used classical Greek mythological symbols to advance their credibility. For instance, reliefs and period art from the Byzantine Emperor Heraclian show the venerable Greek mythology figure Heracles. Because of the disturbances, the Islamic conquest changed Byzantine civilization drastically during this time. It grew feudal and more concentrated on the Balkans and Anatolia's central areas. Still another change came with the victories of the Islamic caliphates, as when the Arabs seized the Syriac and Coptic-speaking areas of Syria and Egypt, therefore diminishing Eastern Rome's linguistic variety, and leaving the Greek-speaking center of Constantinople as the last significant center of culture. Many Eastern Romeos following the Arab conquests. Now under Muslim control, ethnic minorities left the Byzantines a more homogeneous empire ethnically. So a mental change took place. To be Roman grew increasingly recognizable as an empire citizen with a Greek-speaking background. Within the often linking the Roman identity to Greekness resulted in negative effects related to other ethnic groups still living in Byzantine territory, including Slavs and Armenians, very long after the Islamic conquests. The paradox was that Roman citizenship aimed to challenge concepts of descent and lineage for people who were not enslaved following the 3rd century CE. Nonetheless, Orthodox Christianity and even the Greek language began to be a marker of being Roman, therefore essentially seizing the civic version of Roman citizenship in support of one predicated on more ethnicity. So over the 6th to 9th for centuries, this process carried on as the language of government kept moving from Latin to Greek. This was true even in southern Italy, where the Byzantines kept provinces orderly. Entering the Middle Ages, there was a Greek-speaking community, and the forebearers of the southern Italy still hosts Greco and Calabrian Greek speakers today. As Byzantium's from being a multi-ethnic empire, identity changed to become mostly Greek polity, with neighbors also changing their view of Byzantium. States like the Arabs or the Carolingians, called Byzantium Roman, yet equally considered it as the territory of the Greeks. As per the Byzantines, self-perception changed, and the meaning of Rome grew to be associated with the Greek language and civilization. Let us now address how Orthodox Christianity was influenced by Hellenic culture. As we said earlier, Christianity and Hellenism in the Byzantine Empire had a sour relationship, as the later was regarded as connected with being pagan. How did the two interact and reconcile? The first means were educated. Many Christian monarchs and priests in Byzantium were educated in Greek. Many understood and sought to alleviate the conflict, even in the 4th century CE, between Greek and Christian philosophical ideas. Caesarea's Basil, as well as Gregory Nazianzus, sought to pinpoint the qualities of Greek philosophy that justified acceptance according to Christian doctrine. They also sought to pinpoint from a Christian which aspects were negative, viewpoint, and throw them aside. Gregory gave Athens great weight given its several philosophical schools, referring to them as a golden city of letters where the lure of paganism was wear solid. Other 4th century Christian theologians, such as Eusebius of Caesarea, promoted a stricter rejection of all classical Greek philosophy and Christianity, considering the feelings early Byzantine Empire Christians had regarding classical Greek society was varied, conflicted, and tense. By the later Byzantine era of the 9th century, from CE, the liturgical language of the empire had practically entirely turned Greek, at least within the main primary areas of Byzantine influence. Many priests and monks started to address the difficulty of harmonizing the two cultural customs. Among such men was the Byzantine hieromonk Michael Psellos, an 11th century CE man of great but divisive influence. Having received education in Constantinople's Pandidactyrion, the Byzantine Ivy League Psellos gave the Hellenistic intellectual movement of Neoplatonism much weight. Numerous scholars have done this before and would have done so since Psellos broke from past theologians regarding the weight he placed on the relevance of Greek ideas given. It is therefore a required complement to the Christian perspective. By linking the two traditions in his Psellos underlined in philosophy the need for people to be able to use both. It should also be observed that Byzantine Christianity never abandoned magical or mystical elements within Christianity. Indeed, Psellos also penned, and the ancient Greeks were quite fascinated by mysticism itself. Significant writings on Christian demonology and the study of demons, many of which drew influence from the Greek pagan tales. Over Eastern Roman history, the Greek or Hellenic features of Byzantine culture also emerged into conflict with Romanitis, or to be Roman, a dispute was finally settled. Major supporters of the Greek historian Herodotus for his anthropological research were the Byzantines, using their diplomatic approach, the Byzantines applied this ancient Greek perspective to grasp foreign civilizations. Missions, a human intelligence tool. This affected how one saw other people, so in terms of Romanness's classification as an ethnically Greek-speaking group. As Greece grew more, becoming more of a lingua franca, Romanness began to be associated with the Greek tongue, non-Greek. The Byzantines saw Orthodox Christians as brothers, but not as an ethnic family. This is best shown by the opinions towards Slavs. Many Slavic people became Christians, resulting from Byzantine missionary activity, and belong to a cultural network known as the Byzantine Commonwealth, on which we have done a video. Though Orthodox Christians, the Slavs were never thought of as Roman, since only assimilation into Greek culture would allow this. Byzantine ideas of kingship too were an interesting concoction of the Roman, Greek, and Christian ideas. Like in Roman and Hellenistic times, the Byzantine emperor had to guarantee the well-being of his subjects. Kings were intended to be. Still, the Byzantine emperor was also a Christian institution, albeit whether the Byzantine emperor was appointed by God or another is up for contention. Later thinkers such as Anthony Caldelis assert as managers of God's creation. Both types of leadership carry obligations and are a kind of blend of Greek, Roman, and Christian values of the realm. This complex mix of ideas reveals that Byzantine civilization evolved with time and settled the conflicts among the Hellenic, Roman, and Christian points of view on how they understood itself and the way its government ran things. The character. Let us now go forward and explore how this new Hellenism, combined with Byzantine civilization, displayed Roman and Christian customs. Byzantine Hellenism manifested in several ways and had different interesting elements influencing the life of the Byzantine aristocracy. Among these was the influence of Old Greek literature on Byzantine style and prose. Evidence of historical The Alexiad by Princess Anna shows Greek inspirations in medieval Byzantine prose. Komnena is a chronicle of the rule of Alexios I, the Komnenian princess's father. Charge, taking on the passion of their Roman forebears for ancient Greek customs, the Byzantines frequently used Atticisms as a writing technique in their books. Atticisms were tried to imitate the Attic dialect of Ionian Greek used in Athens during the period of traditional Greece. Naturally, ancient Greece was not the only location where the Byzantines sought inspiration for literature. Byzantine romances, for example, drew on the prose forms of France and Europe, even if the roots of Christianity in Jewish and Aramaic thinking were always evident in Byzantine theological and liturgical ideas of heavenly domains. However, the change to Greek as a government language let Byzantium sink itself into aspects of classical Greek philosophy. Byzantine writings occasionally still featured references to Greek gods. Nonetheless, the Greek to please the Christian sensibilities, gods were shown as human rather than divine. Of the age group, legendary figures such as Charon, the one delivering souls to the afterlife in Greek myth-inspired Byzantine legends. For example, in some later medieval poems penned in following the Byzantine conquest of Cyprus, the half-Saracen, half-Greek warrior Digenis Akritas battles and beats Charon, the ancient Greek Grim Reaper, just gains from grumbling to him on the inequity of life. These illustrations capture the vestiges of Byzantine Hellenism among the Orthodox Christian communities living in once empire-ruled territory. Byzantium's one-of-a-kind and fresh cultural system was Hellenism. Other Orthodox cultures have an impact on it. Alongside Islamicate and Latin cultural domains, however, Greek-speaking and saw itself considered a successor of ancient Greece as well as Rome. Nationalization of Hellenization. Byzantine Hellenism was confronted as the medieval age's wheels kept turning. Significant difficulty. The empire contracted under Islamic empires like the Seljuks along with the arrival of the Crusaders, who, following opportunistic agreements with Byzantium, finally started carving the empire after sacking Constantinople in 1204 CE. Byzantine thereafter, successful states like those in Nicaea grew permanently hostile to the Latins of Western European countries. This resulted in an unusual evolution. The Greek language was progressively blended with Byzantine Roman ethos. An essential component was Nicaea's king, Theodore Lascaris II, of this evolutionary process. Lascaris aspired to spread classical Greek culture and lauded it both in Nicaea during his brief rule, Byzantine philosophy, and court. This proceeded even after recovering Constantinople and rebuilding the Byzantine Empire. The Palaiologos dynasty brought Byzantine emperors philosophers to view themselves as different from the Catholics and more attentive to their linguistic legacy of Hellenic history. Late Byzantine times saw the difference between the Latins and the Byzantines develop an almost quasi-ethnic character. This is not what it is like in current Greek identity. That is a development of the 19th century. Still, the Hellenism of Byzantium was now a tool for expressing resistance to the Latin West, not only a cultural symbol. This is why many Byzantine notables were reluctant to become even under Ottoman threat, Catholic seeking to save the empire. With the Ottomans' takeover of Constantinople, Tuesday, May 29, 1453, this Orthodox identity turned into an Ottoman distinguishing characteristic. Greek-speaking people were largely governed by aristocratic, educated patriarchs in Constantinople who studied following the Greek style. They were not called Yunan, the Turkish term for the Greeks, but Rum, or Romans. Though Christian in faith, this Rum identity was Greek in dialect and liturgy, and Roman in her interactions with the Sublime Porte. The religious approach of Byzantine Hellenism was dimensioned to fit the Ottoman system. As we have observed, the Hellenization of Byzantium derived its roots in geography of the Eastern Roman Empire, as well as Greco-Roman civilization. It additionally had a basis predicated on the concept of Romans as Orthodox Christian Greek speakers of Byzantium. Following the cultural changes that started under Justinian and sped under Heraclion, the early medieval period brought continuous Hellenization of Byzantium, then explosive development. Under brilliant dynasties such as the Komnenoi and Paleologoi, it even started to be almost ethnic, a meeting of the Orthodox, Hellenic and Roman ideas into one great and distinctive culture. Combining these three facets of herself helped Byzantium come to define itself and generated one of the most remarkable legacies in global history.